Hey, Pete here for Studio Live today, and in this GarageBand for iOS video, we're going to be looking at guitars and, more importantly, the brand new tone pack that came out with GarageBand 2.3. So I'm going to be using those guitars in my brand new track called College that I'm working on at the moment. So let's go. Okay, so we are going to be talking about guitars, but I've actually already played the guitar parts and I have those recorded here in GarageBand on the iPad. So what I'm going to do is show you the guitar parts that I have and the instruments that I chose, or the three guitars I'm using from the new tone pack, but we're also going to go through and audition the other tones, just so that you can have a listen to the clean tones and the distorted tones. But instead of just playing random riffs, I thought I would play the guitar parts I have here in my new song through those guitar tones, so you have an idea of what sort of tones that you can play with in your tracks as well. So here is our track, and if you watched the video I did about Drummer, you would have seen and heard this track already and these guitars. But in this video, I'm going to take you through and show exactly what I did with these guitars as well. So first of all, let us solo these three guitar parts, and I'll play just the three guitars that we have in this track. So that is what our guitars sound like at this stage. We've got a clean guitar, which is actually currently panned up the middle. We have a distorted guitar over on the left, and we have another distorted guitar that's doing the lead part, and that's panned over on the right. So we're going to take these one by one, and I'll show you the sound that I've selected and also the other comparable sounds that we can check out in the new tone pack. So let's start with our clean guitar. So here I am going to go into the amp settings, and that will open up like so. So what I've got here, you can see it's the rich harmonics is the setting that I have. We can see that I'm here in the tone collection. So all of these are our brand new guitar tones. We'll go through and have a play with all of these as we go. So you can see how we got here is that we're in our main category. We can go into our clean and distorted bass guitar options here, and then we've got our guitar, we've got our clean, crunchy, distorted, and process that we can go to. You can see over here, if I don't do that, you can see over here that it says tone collection. So any that are part of the new tone collection will say tone collection there, and I'm assuming if and when we get new collections, you'll be able to see what they are from as well. Okay, so we're only looking at our tone collection. Let's go into recent and tone collection, and here we have it. So these are all of the tones that we have, and you can see over the right here, we've got clean, we've got crunchy, we've got distorted, and we've got processed. So for this track, the first guitars I wanted was something that was going to be clean. So I auditioned through the 6 and decided on rich harmonics, and that sounds like this. So the reason I wanted that sound is that it's got quite a bit of treble as part of the preset. It's a nice sort of twangy guitar tone that can be complemented by the distorted, crunchy guitars of the other two tracks. And it's kind of just guiding the track in the middle there with a nice clean tone. So what I'm going to do now is I'll play the track again, and I'm going to go through and audition all of the other clean tone sounds that we have here in the GarageBand tone pack. So there's all of our clean tones that we have here in the tone pack. So different types of tones for different types of applications. So the two that I was considering here were the rich harmonics and the thick stack. ended up going with the harmonics just because it has a slightly fuller sound, which is what I wanted for this particular guitar track. Okay, while we're here, let's have a look at the processed sounds. Now, this track doesn't really need processed guitars. These are more for lead parts and more of the ambient sort of guitar sounds that you're going to want in some of your tracks. But I figured I would just play some of these now so that you can hear what they sound like. Let's start with Cold Fusion, and we'll move our way down from there. So you can hear that they're not the sort of sounds that you're going to use for a main rhythm guitar part, and this doesn't really have any clean or processed lead guitar parts, this particular song, so it's not actually going to be particularly good to use these guitars in this song. But if you were having a guitar, if you needed a guitar part to add some ambience and to add some sound behind, you can hear some of those. And some of the things you'll notice there that are pretty cool in these guitar amp sounds is that things like the delays and the reverbs, especially the delays, they're tuned into the tempo of your song. So some of those cool delay sounds that you hear are actually going to fit in nicely to your song. You can obviously adjust the delay time, but by default, a lot of them will have that delay matched into the tone of your song, which is pretty cool. So let's move away from the world of clean guitars and let's jump into some distortion. So if we turn off and turn on this one, I've gone with the power chord as this guitar, and let's hear what that sounds like first. So I really wanted a punk rock kind of sound. So it's called power chord, and I was playing power chords, so I thought that was a good sound to go with. But let's jump in and have a listen to some of the other distorted sounds that we have to choose from. Okay, so we'll go into our amp. And let's play, and we'll play, and then we'll go through all of the different sounds and audition some of these again. So there we go, and we're right back around to power chord. So there's some good sounds in there. There are a couple that I nearly chose, one called Brownstone, I think, which is a pretty cool sound as well, which it may end up actually going into this track in the end. So these aren't the final decisions, but as I was tracking these guitars, I chose these guitars because they sounded the most like what I wanted. And that's probably a tip that I'll give here, is that when you're tracking or recording your guitar sounds, it's a good idea to actually put a sound on that is going to be similar to what you're actually going to go with in the end. You can record everything clean and then tweak and play around with the amp settings afterwards, but you're not going to get the sort of performance that you would get if you're actually playing through that sound. You can change it afterwards anyway if you've got a clean signal going in, but it's a good idea to have something on there just so it can inspire your performance a little more. Okay, let's go to our last guitar sound. So we will solo, and at the moment I'm using Hall Boost in this one, which is part of our crunchy sounds. So let's go into our amp settings again, and we'll hit play on this one, and then we'll go through and listen to our other crunchy sounds. So there we go. There's some pretty good options in there as well. So I was quite impressed as I was going through here by the Rio Grande and the American Crunch. They, again, both, and even the new old stock, all of those sound pretty good. And at the moment, I've got the Hall Boost, which has quite a lot of reverb, hence why it's called Hall Boost, which I think just sort of adds a little bit to this track. But in the final mixing phase, maybe I don't want so much reverb and I dial that back, or I even change the guitar entirely. That is the flexibility of GarageBand, but it's also the danger because you have so many options that eventually you do need to make a call and go with it. So chances are that I'll end up with the setup that I have right now, because that's what I like to do. I like to make those decisions early if I can, so that I'm committed to a sound, and if it's a good sound, hopefully it ends up being a good track. Okay, so that's a look at the brand new tone pack that we have here in GarageBand 2.3. I hope you found that interesting and that you'll plug your guitar in, crank up some of these amp settings, and have a go yourself with these. The next video coming up, or that may already be out by the time you're watching this, is all about the vocals. So we're recording the vocals for this track. You can see I've got guide vocals down here. I'm going to be re-recording those vocals in a brand new video coming very soon. So until then, I'm Pete for Studio Live today, and let's have a listen to how this sounds on our way out.